Hello, our dear viewers. It's 3 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for our news bulletin. I'm Mahisi Rabia, and I have all the pleasure to be working today with my dear colleague Shuruk Bekir. Good afternoon to you, Shuruk.
Good afternoon to you, Mahisi. Well, let's start right away with the headlines, followed by the details. President Sisi meets his Indonesian counterpart Prabowo Subianto in Cairo. Israel continues bounding the Gaza Strip despite talk about a possible truce. And UN envoy for Syria says the Syrian conflict has not ended yet.
Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received his Indonesian counterpart, Prabowo Subianto, in Cairo on Wednesday. During their meeting, the two leaders discussed means to foster bilateral ties in various domains, in addition to a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern. The Indonesian leader represents his country at the summit of the 8th Organization for Economic Cooperation slated for Thursday. President Prabowo will officially accept the chairmanship of the 2026-2027 term from the current chair, Egypt.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and Migration Badr Abdel Ati will take part at the 21st summit meeting of the foreign ministers of the D8 group in Cairo on Wednesday. The meeting comes in preparation for the group summit on Thursday, and the D8, which groups Egypt, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Iran, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Turkey, was established in 1997 to improve cooperation among countries stretching from the Southeast Asia to Africa.
Parties to long stalled talks on the Gaza ceasefire expressed cautious optimism about the prospects of reaching a truce between Israel and the Palestinians. Sources said CIA Director William Burns was due in Doha for talks with the Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani on bringing the remaining gaps between the two sides. On Tuesday, sources close to the talks in Cairo said an agreement could be signed in coming days on a ceasefire and release of hostages held in Gaza in return for the Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. The U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller also said the cautious optimism is a fair way to characterize the talks.
Despite reports on a possible truce, Israeli attacks across the Palestinian territory of Gaza continued, killing at least 12 people overnight, and Gaza Civil Defense Agency said the majority of the killed were displaced Palestinians taking shelter in a house in the northern Gaza's Bethlehem. Later on Wednesday, the director of the hospital, Kamal Adwan, in Bethlehem said that gunfire and tanks shells caused a fire in the intensive care unit, with some patients suffering burns. Hospital Director Hussam Abu Safia told AFB that staff had to quickly move all patients out of the intensive care unit. Elsewhere in northern Gaza, a child was killed and several others wounded in a strike that hit a house in Jabalia, where Israeli occupation forces are making an incursion since October. Overnight, a tent in an Israeli-designed safe zone in the southern Gaza Strip was hit, killing one Palestinian, according to the civil defense spokesman.
The UN Security Council is scheduled to hold an open session on Wednesday on the Israeli illegal settlements in the occupied Arab lands, particularly in the Palestinian territory of the West Bank. The meeting will probe a report by the UN Secretary General over the implementation of the 2334 resolution in 2016 that ordered Israel to halt colonization activities in the occupied Palestinian territories, including in Arab East Jerusalem.
UN's envoy to Syria said Syria's conflict has not ended even after the departure of Bashar al-Assad, as the Secretary General called for an inclusive and Syrian-led political transition. Geir Pedersen, the UN Special Envoy for Syria, also called at the Security Council for Israel to cease all settlements activity in the occupied Syrian Golan. Earlier, the new Syrian administration has complained to the UN body about the Israeli bombardment and incursions into Syrian territory in the Golan Heights. Israeli forces seized a strategic Syrian mountain inside the UN-patrolled buffer zone on the Golan Heights on December the 8th.
Syria's Harakat Tahrir al-Sham said it would be the first to dissolve its armed wing and they would integrate into the Syrian armed forces. The military chief of the armed faction that led an offensive into Damascus earlier this month added that the Kurdish-held areas of Syria would be integrated under the country's new leadership. He said Syria would not be divided and there would be no federal entities. He also called on the Western governments to lift the terrorist designation from his group and its leader Abu Muhammad al-Julani, now using his real name as Ahmed al-Shara.
International Organization for Migration Chief Amy Pope said the UN agency was not advising the large-scale return of refugees to Syria before the situation has established. During a visit to Lebanon, Pope said Syria lacks in terms of both humanitarian and early recovery needs, adding that sending people back will only destabilize the country further and will likely create pressure for people to migrate out again.
To the international front, Russia said on Wednesday that it would respond to a new set of European Union sanctions which Moscow considers a danger to global energy security. The statement was made by the Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova. On Monday, the European Union imposed a 15th package of sanctions against Russia, including tougher measures against the Chinese entities and more vessels from Moscow's so-called shadow fleet on Monday.
The world on Wednesday celebrates the Arabic Language World Day, marking Arabic as an assist for human cultural diversity and one of the fastest growing spoken languages. The day was approved by the UN General Assembly, making the Arabic languages endorsement as one of the official languages and working languages at the UN. Let's have a closer look.
The Arabic language is a pillar of the cultural diversity of humanity. It is one of the most widely spoken languages in the world, used daily by more than 400 million people. World Arabic Language Day is celebrated every year on the 18th of December since 2012. The date coincides with the day in 1973 that the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted Arabic as the sixth official language of the organization. In the diversity of its forms, classic or dialectal, from oral expression to poetic calligraphy, the Arabic language has given rise to fascinating fields such as poetry, philosophy, and song. It gives access to an incredible variety of identities and beliefs, and its history reveals the richness of its links with other languages. Arabic has played a catalytic role in knowledge promoting dissemination of Greek and Roman sciences and philosophies to Renaissance Europe. It has enabled the dialogue of cultures along the roads from the coast of India to the Horn of Africa. On World Arabic Language Day, UNESCO is encouraging everyone to celebrate not only a language but also a culture, and more broadly emphasizing how much we need diverse perspectives. They are an invaluable treasure and the fundamental prerequisite for lasting peace.
And to our economic news, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli chaired today a weekly cabinet meeting on a number of important political, economic and social files. Minister of Social Solidarity Maya Mursi submitted a proposal on a strategic financial system on economic empowerment. She also provided an explanation of the number of successful international experiences and studies for some banking service which aimed at economic empowerment in India, Bangladesh and Pakistan. The Prime Minister instructed the finalizing this proposal in order to be raised for review by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi ahead of launching the financial system with the start of the new year.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli met today Chief of Forbes Global Holding Peter Hung and his accompanying delegation. The Prime Minister reviewed the government's efforts for finalizing a law on business and financial zones aiming to attract global financial institutions to invest in the new administrative capital, money and business district. The company chief meanwhile said he is looking forward to more cooperation with Egypt, expressing his appreciation that immense development witnessed in the new capital in only a few days.
Deputy Prime Minister for Industrial Development Kamil al-Wazir, who is also the Minister of Industry and Transport, asserted today that Egypt is open to cooperation with countries from across the globe in the industry field, in line with the presidential directives to turn the state into a regional industrial hub. Meeting with Turkish businessmen, al-Wazir noted that his ministry attached a priority to the localization of 23 promising industries and to give incentives to investors in such industries, the products of which are of absolute importance to the Egyptian imports lists.
Egypt's power indices fluctuated at today's midday transaction aimed local investor purchasing against Arab and foreign investors sell-offs. The market capital of listed companies exceeded 2.2 trillion Egyptian pounds, aimed average market transaction of 2 trillion pounds. The benchmark index EGX30 rose 0.4% about the 30,720 point mark, and the equal weight indices EGX70 and EGX100 both fell around 0.2%.
And to the exciting world of sports, Arne Slot said that he was not surprised that Liverpool are flying on all fronts just months after he replaced Jurgen Klopp as he prepares to rest some stars for their League Cup quarter-final against Southampton. The Reds are top of the Premier League and the Champions League with 19 wins in 23 games in all competitions so far. The Dutch manager, short of fit defenders, is set to rotate his players for today's tie as he plans for a trip to Tottenham in the Premier League at the weekend.
Real Madrid's manager Carlo Ancelotti said that his men are a much better team than they were a month ago, but must be wary of equality. And the head of today's FIFA International All-Cup final against the Mexican outfit, since suffering a 2-0 defeat at Liverpool in the Champions League. Madrid have won 3 and drawn 1 of their last 5 matches across all competitions. Meanwhile, beat Egyptian side Al-Ahli 6-5 on penalties after a goals draw to reach the tournament final.
Well, our dear viewers, that would bring us to the end of our news bulletin. You were in the company of myself, Mahisty Rabia, and I had all the pleasure to be working with my dear colleague, Shru Bakir. Thank you so much, Shru.
Thank you, Mahisty. Thank you for watching.